Good afternoon. Welcome to day 2 of the new mini catalogue launch and the celebration of Sale-a-Bration, which is what today is all about. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, I'm just going to check and make sure that you can see what I think you ought to be able to see. And there's nothing there yet, so hopefully I will pop up in a minute. There's always a little bit of a lag. There we go. Looks like I'm there.
Hopefully I will pop up in a minute.
Quickly turn the volume down so you don't get me twice. Okay, so I can't see if there's anybody there yet, but there is always a bit of delay. See if I can adjust that slightly so you get a bit less of my double chin. Is that any better? Not sure. And as I always do, I'm going to start by putting some hand cream on because I always wash my hands just before I start and I don't always get the timing right to add some hand cream, so let me do that. I don't know about you, but my hands are so dry all the time with the double happy birthday hand washing and the hand gel and all the rest of it. Well, I thought today was going to be a cold and miserable day, but it's really warmed up outside. In fact, I think I'm going to be hot in here this afternoon. I've cracked open a couple of windows, but I don't like to have everything too open because otherwise you get the noise from outside. So we'll see how we manage. All right, so nobody said that they're here yet, but who knows? It's not my usual day, of course, for being online. I'm doing extra sessions this week, and it's really nice to be able to come in 4 days running and chat to you all, show you projects, show you new products, and chat to the people who are there live. I do always look back at comments, so if you watch this afterwards and you've got a comment to make, please do. And of course I'll put this video up on YouTube as well. My YouTube channel is the same name as my Facebook page, so Handmade at Home with Sally Bowman, so you can always watch it there as well. And of course people watch things in different places at different times. So today is all about Sale-a-Bration. For the first time ever, we've got Sale-a-Bration happening twice in a year, which I think is fabulous. Instead of 3 months at the beginning of the year, we had 2 months then, and then we've got 2 months now for August and September for what is really the biggest promotion of the year. So it's lovely to have a second go at it. Hi, Antriana. Antriana's watching at work. Don't worry, we won't tell anyone, Antriana. I'm glad you could join us. And she says hi to everyone. So yes, a second go of Sale-a-Bration with the same rules but new free products. So what's not to like? So I'm going to run through how you get free products during Sale-a-Bration and other great things about this 2-month promotion. Then I'm going to show you some of the products that you can get for free. And for some of them I've got samples, and for others I'm actually going to make some things. So we've got a bit of crafting in this afternoon as well. So what is Sale-a-Bration then? Well, it's a 2-month promotion, all of the rest of this month and all of September. And there are 3 different ways that you can earn free products from the special Sale-a-Bration brochure. And if you received the mini catalogue from me, I also sent you a Sale-a-Bration brochure out as well. If you don't have a demonstrator that you work with, let me know and I'll happily send the brochure out to you as well. Antriana's saying if anyone comes into her office, she'll tell them she's on a conference call. Absolutely, Antriana. They won't know the difference. So the first way to earn free products is by buying products. It doesn't matter whether you buy them from the new mini catalogue or from the existing annual catalogue. Every time you spend £45 in one go on lovely craft products, anything you like, you can choose an item from the Sale-a-Bration brochure for free. So if you spend £90, you can choose 3 items. If you spend if you spend £90, you can choose 2 items. £135, you can choose 3 free items, and so on, as often as you like. There is no limit. Now, if you spend £90, then there are a couple of things in the catalogue which are sort of double value rewards. So with a £90 spend, you can choose one of the double value items, and I'll show you those in a minute. Or you can choose 2 of the standard value items. So there's lots of flexibility in there. So that's the first way to earn free products. The second way to get them is to host a large order. So you might decide to have a large order yourself. You might decide to get together with family and friends, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, parents, whoever it is, and do some crafting and show them your catalogue, and all their orders together can be added in to get you extra free things. So all of those people, if they spend £45, will get the standard choice from the Sale-a-Bration brochure for every £45. But on top, if the total of the orders is and I'm checking my numbers just to make sure I'm telling you right, £275, there is an extra free stamp set that you'll get automatically. It's called In Your Words, and if you've got your Sale-a-Bration brochure, it's on page 17. In a minute, when I turn the camera down, I'll show you as well, and you'll get one of those automatically. So that's an extra free stamp set just for putting in a large order. On top of that, if you're putting in a large order like that, whether it's for you or whether it's for other people, you can get what we call stamping rewards, which are more free products. So there's lots and lots to be had there without it costing you anything extra. And you can just ask me if you do more information on that. I can see a few more people have joined us. Let's see, Maureen is here. Hi, Maureen. She says hello to everyone. And Pam is here. She says she's made it live at last, but she also enjoyed Friday and yesterday on catch up. Well, thank you very much, Pam, and thank you for coming back for even more of me. That's very kind. And Pam says hello to everyone. So you can place your own order, you can gather up family and friends orders, or indeed put in a large order of your own for free products, or you can join Stampin' Up. I'm all about helping you maximise your value. I want you to get the best value you possibly can. And if you have a wish list for Stampin' Up items that is at least £99 worth, then it definitely pays you to join. When you join, you pay £99, but actually you choose £135 worth of products free. And there is also a list of new bundles of stamps and dies or stamps and a punch, and you can choose one of those bundles for free on top. So there's a lot of free things to be had in there, and then you can tick off the other things on your wish list by ordering them yourself at a discount. So you get 20% off everything else you order once you've joined. So that's £130 worth. So yes, £130 worth of products, which is £31 worth for free, because you'll pay £99. You'll choose £130 worth. You'll get a free bundle, and I'll show you which ones those are in a minute. And then after that, you'll get 20% off the price of your orders. So really, what's not to like? There are so many other fantastic reasons for joining Stampin' Up as well. For a start, you'll get to make new crafting friends. You become part of the Stampin' Up family. I have some absolutely lovely people who have joined with me. And in fact, I've just rushed back. I've just been having the most incredible afternoon tea for lunch with two people I would never have met were it not for Stampin' Up. Jo, who actually kindly treated me to it, which was very generous of her. I met through someone who was on my team, and then Jo introduced me to her friend Belinda. It was Belinda's birthday. It is Belinda's birthday today, and it's in her honour that we met. And I would never have met Belinda were it not for Stampin' Up. And in fact, Belinda has joined my team, and I'm sure many of you will have seen her incredible crafting creations, both on this page when she's often my creative customer, and also if you're in my Paper Crafters group, she posts the most beautiful things there. So two lovely people that are really good friends that I would never have met if it were not for Stampin' Up. In terms of finance, well, you obviously get the discount on everything you buy, and you can earn an income as well. You might want to do it as a part-time business, as a full-time business. You might want to do it to earn some extra pennies towards a holiday or piano lessons for the children or whatever it is. You can do that with Stampin' Up if you want to. You don't have to, but if you want to. There are all sorts of ways to get free products when you join Stampin' Up, and I love that about it. During Sale-a-Bration, we can earn extra free products as demonstrators, and they're vouchers effectively, so we can buy whatever we fancy with them. So that's another great reason for joining during Sale-a-Bration. If you're interested in personal growth, you can improve your communication skills, your leadership skills, your teaching skills. improve your confidence, gain all kinds of transferable skills. So perhaps that's of interest to you. Stampin' Up is a great way to improve your skills. There are lots of other benefits, fantastic conventions when we can meet in person, and online conventions until we can, all sorts of ways to meet people from all over the world who share our interests. So I could go on and on and on about why actually everybody ought to join Stampin' Up. I won't, I'll stop there. But if it interests you even just a little bit and you'd like to know more, do please ask me. Sale-a-Bration is always a fantastic time to join. It's always a good time to join, but there's always extra benefits during Sale-a-Bration, so do think about it. I'd love to have you join us. All right, so I think that's all about Sale-a-Bration, how it works. So you can get free products by buying, by putting in a really large order on your own or with family and friends, or by joining. And what I think I'll do now is I'll turn the camera down. I've got my Sale-a-Bration brochure open to show you where things are, and I'm going to show you some of the products as well, and we'll do some crafting. So bear with me just while I turn everything down. I'll cover you up first. That way, hopefully, you won't get seasick. And I will just make a few adjustments to the camera and to my microphone. Okay, I have to take the camera out of the stand to do this. There we go. And adjust my microphone. And then I just need to gather up all this loose cabling. Otherwise it's going to drag all across the crafting and nobody wants to see my microphone cable. Okay, just about there. Right, let me take that away from the camera lens. And now I have to wait for my iPad to catch up. See what you can see. Okay, it's adjusting things just very slightly. Let's see if I can get that straight, more or less. Okay, I think I will quit while I'm ahead probably with that. I think that's the answer. All right, so hopefully you have your Sale-a-Bration brochure. So the dates are on the front in case you need to know them. In here it explains to you that you can choose a product with every £45 or £90 you spend. And then the first item on here is the Bedazzling specialty paper. Now I'm going to skip over that because I've got a project to show you with that in a minute, and I'll show you the paper at the same time. But it's just worth mentioning that this is one of 3 items which may not be available for the whole of the Sale-a-Bration period. These come, I believe, from the Far East, and as I'm sure you're aware, there are issues with worldwide shipping and handling and containers and freight space and so on at the moment. And this takes so long to get here at the moment that they will not be able to replenish their stocks in time for before the promotion ends. So if you would like to get this, make a note that it needs to be one of the first things you choose, because it would be a real shame if it had completely gone from the warehouse just as you decided that, yes, today I'm going to ask for that one. That's the first thing, and the other things which are just while stocks last are the 2 sets of dies, which we'll come to in a minute. Everything else, it's possible it may go on back order, but the stocks will be replenished. So that's just a word to remind you about. Marjorie's here. Hello Marjorie, lovely to have you. All right, so the second set is this Penguin Playmates patterned paper. The picture in here isn't very large, but you can, I'm sure, see the imagery. It's lots of absolutely lovely little Arctic animals. We've got a fox, we've got a polar bear, we've got a penguin, lots of different designs, 6 different double-sided designs, and the samples show you the kinds of things you can make with the paper, and they coordinate with the Penguin Place bundle, which I'm just finding. That's in the new mini catalogue. Here we go. On page 33. So if I bring in, oops, let's try and get the 2 under the camera together. I don't know if this will work. So if you buy your bundle here, which is the stamps and the penguin punch, that's £29.50. So you're well on your way to your £45 spend to get the free paper, which coordinates perfectly. The penguins are exactly the same images, and there are lots of penguin friends, so I reckon that's a really good buy. So Pam's saying hi to Marjorie. There we go. So over on page 6, this is a stamp set with a £45 spend. This is lovely. This is a line art stamp set. There's a bicycle leaning up in front of a door with some plants and a hanging basket. There's a little pot of tulips, some trailie creeper there, and then several sets of words. And then the brochure shows you just some of the things you can do with it. They've made a background paper here. There's a beautifully detailed watercolour here, or you can just stamp the line art here. So that's a really nice set. I haven't got this one yet, but it is beautiful. Moving across is the beautifully penned paper. Now I can show you this paper, and if you've signed up for my my September card class, no, I think it's the August card class. I'm trying to think what have I designed for what. Anyway, one of the card classes, you're going to be able to play with some of this paper. But this is lovely. This is all black and white, which means it will go with anything, because you can use it as it is in a monochromatic scheme, or you can colour it with markers or inks and a blending brush and make it work with any kind of colour scheme you like. So I'll show you the paper, and then I'll show you how it coordinates with the beautifully penned suite in the annual catalogue. So the paper is double-sided. There are 3 different designs, so you get 4 sheets of each, which makes it great for making multiples or for doing things like scrapbooking or album making, where you might want a design to continue several times through your project. So you've got this lovely all-over flower print on one side, and then on the other there is a scalloped print. Of course, you can make this any colour you like. The next one is a larger floral pattern, and this has got a polka dot background. These are very easy to colour, and if you received one of my mini catalogue packages, your little chocolate treat was packaged using a little circle punched from this paper, or die cut I should say, from the paper. And then on the back is a lovely watercolour wash with a stripe. And then the final design is this all over leaf design. Again, you can ink this to make your leaves green or yellow or whatever you fancy. And on the other side is a polka dot design, which coordinates beautifully with the floral one. So you can see that if you put those together, you've instantly got the basis for a really nice card. So this paper is lovely. If you match it with the hand penned paper, or the hand penned stamps, it's even better, and I've marked those in my annual catalogue. So this is the hand penned suite on page 104. So if you look at the imagery in here, you'll see that we've got this group of flowers here, so the shapes are the same as the flowers on here. The hand penned paper has got some striped papers in it and scalloped papers, which are the same as the Sale-a-Bration ones. Let me bring in, there's my scallops, there's my stripes. So they echo the coloured papers here, so you could bring in some colour with the coloured designer series paper, and then bring in some depth with the black and white papers. And the leaf design, I'm looking for a better, here we go, down here. Hopefully you can see this purple paper here, which has the leaf on it. This is the same leaf as on this paper here. So it works just in a really beautiful way with the hand penned petals suite. And there we go, that's the other one I was looking for. The flowers on here are also the same as the flowers in the stamp set. So if you buy, let's say, the hand penned petals bundle, that's £43. Add some gems to it, or even some glue perhaps, and then for free you can get the beautifully penned paper, which will match perfectly with it. One of my favourites. I've gone through quite a few packs of this already. So then we're moving into Christmas, we've got the Peaceful Prints patterned paper. So this is 6 double-sided designs. You get 2 sheets of each, and you can see that it coordinates with the Peaceful Deer bundle, which is in the new mini catalogue. And let me just find that to show you. I've got it marked. There we are. It's always difficult trying to show you 2 things on the same page here. Let me put them together like that. So the deer print on here is the same shape as the deer on here, and the Deer Builder punch will punch out this deer on the paper. And then you've got the Christmas trees on here, you've got the Christmas trees on here, and so on and so forth. So it coordinates beautifully. The papers will work with all the stamps. The punch will work with some of the images on the paper. It's just absolutely lovely. You can see here they've given you some samples showing you that. So I'll show you the paper, and then I will also show you a card that I've made just to see everything put together. So here we go. So here is the Peaceful Prints paper. I'm just trying to make some space on my desk. There we go. So we've got a lovely check, gingham, whatever you want to call it, deer on here. And you've got that check pattern on the back, so that's really easy to coordinate. I love this one, which is like birch trunks. If you were watching yesterday, you'll see that I was working with one of the new stamp sets which does have birch trees on it, so this works beautifully with it. And yeah, that's lovely. Really pretty print, that one. And on the back you've got a lovely bold stripe, which is quite Christmassy, but would also work on men's cards in particular. I think some of the designs in this pack are brilliant for men's cards. So here you've got the deer on a smaller scale. I hope this will be picked up by the, yes, I think you can see that, yeah. And little groups of pine trees in between. And then on the back, similar colouring, but with a sort of a tartan. And again, those two just work beautifully together. Then we have a green background with all kinds of snowflakes. Snowflakes are always useful for Christmas. And then a herringbone design that's a little bit like evergreen needles. More snowflakes. This time they're white snowflakes on a red tartan background. And then you've got that red tartan on the other side. So again, perfect coordination with the 2 sides of the paper. And then finally we have Christmas trees or pine trees. Some of them are in gingham with black on them, which is very festive, and then a spotty design on the other side in greens. So really, really usable papers there. I love those, and I'm just looking for the project I've got to show you. There we go. I've put it underneath something. So I've just made one project here just to show you how easily everything works together. So I don't actually have the Deer Builder punch, so I actually cut these out by hand. They were not too bad at all to cut out by hand. And I've added some of the gingham paper, some of the Christmas tree paper, and then the Happy Christmases from the Happy Holidays stamp set, which is a new one. So very easy to put together a card using those free papers. And if you've got the deer punch, it's even quicker. So there we are, that's the Peaceful Prints paper. Then there's the Textures and Frames stamp set, which has been super popular. It's actually on back order at the moment, although new stocks are supposed to come in, I think, next week. So if you do order it, you're not really going to have to wait either at all or wait very long, and it will come in. Very, very useful to make background shapes, to make borders, to make patterns. You can stamp a sentiment in here. I think every crafter needs an ink spatter stamp. You can make checks and plaids with the stripes, stamp them one way, then turn your stamp round and stamp it the other way. And in fact, they've done a kind of a crisscross with that on here. They've made a background here in very bright colours. You could do that much more subtly if you wanted with this one. With this, you could stamp multiple times across your card. You could change colour, or you could keep the same colour and just not and use different generations of stamping. So you could ink your stamp and stamp it across, and then you could ink your stamp, stamp off once and stamp another line, and then stamp off twice and stamp another line, and get a kind of an ombre effect. There's a lot you could do with this. I haven't played with it much yet, but it's got ever such a lot of possibilities. Then on the opposite page for that are the Summer Shadows dies. These are one of the sets which are for a £90 spend. Obviously die sets are much more expensive, and it coordinates with a stamp set in the annual catalogue, which I will show you. Let me just find it. I've marked it, but I can't find it. I can't believe this. I've put a post-it note in and I can't find it for looking. There we are. Okay, so this shaded summer stamp set, which is in the annual catalogue on page 75, is beautifully coordinating with this. You can see that some of these dies will cut out your stamped images, and some of the dies will work independently. And some of them are designed for layering, so you can layer this shape on here, cut them in the same colour or in different colours. The same with the leaves, the same with this flower. So lovely dies. Those dies are while stocks last, so if you like the stamp set, order the dies as soon as you can, because when they're gone, they're gone. Turning over again to page 14, the Delicate Dahlias are beautiful. This is also a kind of a double spend set. It's a big stamp set. I'm going to do something with that in a minute, so I won't talk about it too much now, but there are some lovely samples in the brochure. And then I mentioned earlier that if you place a really large order, or if you act as a host for lots of your friends and family's orders, you'll automatically get this free In Your Words stamp set. This stamp set was designed when they Stampin' Up reached out to demonstrators and said, if you could have any words you liked on a stamp, what would you like? There are all kinds of things on here, from sending this card for no particular reason, which I really like. I think that's very, very usable, to happy birthday. Well, everybody needs a happy birthday stamp, don't they? And then even a little verse. Your birthday came, your birthday went. Here is the card I should have sent. I'm afraid I'm guilty of occasionally missing birthdays, so that's going to be useful for me as well. And then at the back here, there finally is a little bit about joining. Well, I've already talked a little bit about joining. It's absolutely the best value you can find. And down here, these are the bundles listed. So in addition to choosing £130 in product when you join, but just paying £99, you can choose one of these bundles here absolutely free. So it's worth having a look at those. They're all from the latest mini catalogue. And that makes joining even better value than it would be normally. And then on the back you've got a few more little samples there. So that's the Sale-a-Bration brochure. Have I missed the sheep? I'm wondering if I've turned over 2 pages. I haven't seen the sheep. Did you see the sheep? Did I just miss them? Here they are. I'm sure I didn't do the sheep. All right, so the Counting Sheep stamps are free with a £45 spend. And the sheep dies are free with a £45 spend, which seems really good value to me. If you spend £90, get them both. Definitely, if you know you like them, get the sheep dies, because these are the 3rd item that is while stocks last. So the sheep dies will cut out the sheep and the party hat, and they'll also give you other bits and pieces. You've got a balloon and a sunshine, clouds, a fence and a flag. So all the things you need to have a sheep party are here. I can't believe I missed the sheep. I think the pages must have been stuck together. All right, so how about a bit of crafting? Let me bring in the Bedazzling paper. So we've had glitter card or glimmer paper in the catalogue for a long time. We've got some fabulous ombre glitter paper at the moment, all kinds of it. We've got a rainbow glitter paper, but this is not like anything we've had before. I'm hoping that the camera will show this in all its glory. So this is the Bedazzling specialty paper. So this is a free Sale-a-Bration item. This one is while stocks last. And the pack comes with 8 sheets, which are 6 inches square. And it's a really useful colour because it's sort of a champagne colour. So it will work with gold, but it will also work with silver. When I first looked at it, I thought it was silver. Now I think I'm not really sure, which is great because it just picks up whatever you put it with. If I lift it right up, I don't know if the camera will be able to focus and show you, but it's a little bit like mermaid tails. I mean, we all know what a mermaid tail looks like, which is exactly like this. So with standard glitter card or glimmer paper, it tends to look as if someone's put down a layer of glue and then scattered fine glitter on the top. With this, it looks much more like somebody has spent a very long time arranging individual pieces of glitter and laying them flat in a very organised way. So it's a bit like mermaid scales or fish scales. It's also a really good heavy weight. This is quite thick card. It's absolutely beautiful. It's lovely to cut layers from. It die cuts really nicely, as I will show you. Now, the Sale-a-Bration brochure does say that this may blunt your dies. Now, I've cut quite a few shapes from this paper, and so far I've had no issues with my dies blunting. But I should just point that out to you just in case. I guess if you went into mass production with something, because this is such tough card with this layer of glitter on top, you might find that it dulls your dies a little bit, but I can't tell you that that's happened to me, at least not yet. This is beautiful though. Let me show you a couple of shapes I've cut out. So I thought I'll put it through its paces. I'll cut some really detailed shapes. So I dug out my snowflake dies and it cut them really easily. It cut the open snowflake with absolutely no trouble. And the detailed snowflake, I'm just looking for something dark to lay those on just so you can see those a little bit better. There we go, it's my stamping mat. The very detailed one, oops, here, I did run that through my die cutting machine a couple of times, but that will depend on your machine. But it's cut it out with absolutely no problems at all. It hasn't ripped off any of the glitter. All the cuts are really clean. So it cuts beautifully, and I'm hoping that if I turn it in the light you can see the sparkle on that. So this is beautiful material to work with. So I thought I would make a card with you. So this obviously doesn't have any glitter glitter paper on it, none of the bedazzling. But I had this card and I thought, all right, well, let me make a version of it with the beautiful glittery paper. I will point out to you that in the background of this, I've used the Peaceful Prints paper, the one with the birch bark, which I showed you. Let me see if I can find it quickly. Here it is. So this is in the free pack of Christmassy papers, and I've used a layer of that behind my trees. So I've kind of got double trees. I've got birch tree trunks in the background, and then I've got the inspiring canopy dies, which I've cut on the top. So I thought, all right, well, let's make a version of that. So I'm now going to make one with the trees cut from the Bedazzling paper. There we go. So let me lift that up and show you. So this is a really detailed die. It's cut the paper beautifully though, so it's really versatile. You can leave it as a whole layer or you can cut it like that. So I thought, what else can I put behind it? So instead of the birch tree paper, I've taken this paper, which I'm hoping you can see has got these gorgeous foil snowflakes on it, which is from the Peaceful Place designer series paper. That's in the new mini catalogue, and I will be dealing with Christmas tomorrow, so if you can come back tomorrow and see me either live or on the recording, I'll be talking more about this paper and showing it all to you, but it's absolutely gorgeous. So I thought, well, I'll layer a piece of that onto some of this Bedazzling paper for a start, and that'll give me a beautiful sparkly border. Now if I wanted to, I could take the center out of this and use it for something else, but you know what, it's a really generous pack of free paper, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to stick my paper on the top, and I've just got a really narrow border around the edge. Now I cut the Bedazzling paper on my trimmer. I do keep an old blade though, which I use for cutting glitter paper because I think it does dull the blade. So I just keep an old one, and I've written on it that it's for glitter card, and then I just pop that into my trimmer and it cuts the glitter card fine even though it's an old blade, and it just saves dulling my current blade every time. So I'm going to layer this onto a basic grey card, and I think the grey just shows off the glitter on my trees beautifully, and I will need to just trim a tiny little bit off my die cut because it's just a little bit too long. There we are. So I'm going to stick my trees down. And you can either put tiny little dots of glue at intervals on the branches. You could sponge glue on. You could add adhesive sheet to the back, or you can do what I'm doing, which is just kind of scribbling across with very gentle pressure on my bottle of glue so I don't get too much coming out at a time. So I've got glue kind of dotted around on the back of those branches. There we go, and that will just glue down really easily. And then I'm going to stamp a festive greeting. So I've pulled out a couple of the stamps from the Inspired Thoughts stamp set, which is the one that is bundled with the dies that I've used. So here's the trees I've used. So I'm going to use Peace, Joy, Love, and I'm going to stamp Wishing You All the Beautiful Gifts of Christmas inside. It's a really versatile stamp set. There are stamps for lots of different occasions in there. So I have a basic grey ink pad. So I'm going to stamp Peace, Joy and Love on here. And I'm going to snip those pieces out. I would normally cut things on my trimmer every time, but these are tiny and I just thought it might be easy to do it on my scissors. So I'm just cutting the words apart. Oops. Drop that one in my lap. Now the stamp is lovely to use as it is in that kind of block shape, but it's also nice to have another way to use it. There we are. So let me gather up all those bits and pieces that I don't want. Excuse me, I'm just going to have some water. It's very, very warm in my craft room. Right, and then I'm going to add those onto my project using some mini dimensionals. I could cut down the large ones. That works if I don't have any of these handy, but if I do, they are much easier. Actually, I've cut it so small I might just snip just a little bit off that one. There we are. Make it just a weeny bit smaller. So what have I got here? So I'm going to say peace, love and joy. I think that's the order I want them in. And I'm going to put the last one on first because that will allow me to space the others easily. So these are tiny to take the backing off. There we go. So joy is my last word. So I'm going to pop that down there. Then I want love next. And then finally peace. So I've turned a stamp where the words were one on top of the other into one where they are in a long line. You can do that with lots of word stamps. So there we are, that's the front of my card. And on the inside, I'm just going to double check I've put this on the block straight. Hopefully I have, yes, that looks pretty good. And then I'm just going to stamp my insert. There we are. It's a lovely clear font on these Inspired Thoughts stamps, really nice. There we are. So that uses then this beautiful bedazzling paper. Let me put the other one next to it. So two very different cards, but actually pretty much the same layout. Both using the Inspired Thoughts bundle. So I hope you enjoyed those. I hope you've seen just how beautiful this bedazzling glitter card is. I'm going to clean my stamps and then I'll show you something else. Let's move those across a bit, trying to give you a good view of both cards. So I would love to know, what's your favourite thing in the Sale-a-Bration brochure? Let me know. What's the first thing that you're going to get when you can get something for free? Hi Sandy, thank you for joining us. I'm sorry you've had the dentist. I hope you didn't have to have anything horrible done. I am terrified of the dentist. I've got to go in a couple of weeks' time and I'm dreading it already. My dentist gives me Valium, otherwise I can't go. That bad. Right, so I'm next going to make a couple of things actually with the Delicate Dahlias set. So this is a double value set, so you can get it with a £90 spend. It's a lovely set, it's really big. If I show you the stamps, you can see that they're a good size. So you have these two dahlias, there's an outline and then there's one that will colour this in, or you can use it on its own. And I'm hoping you can see it's one of the sets with some distinctive images in it, which is what Stampin' Up call ones where the stamp is designed so it picks up ink and lays it down in different layers of opacity, so you get some very inked areas and some much less inked areas, and it gives a photographic quality to your stamping. So you can see that half the set is those distinctive images, and the other half is the same images but in outline. And then you've got some really useful words. Thank you kindly. I'm going to be using that in a minute, but masking it so the words are slightly different. Sending heartfelt sympathy, you inspire me, and oh so happy for you. And with a little bit of a masking technique, which as I say I will show you, you can get it so that you can actually use the words individually. So you could have happy, you could use inspire, you could use heartfelt, which might be just what you need for a card without using all the rest of the words on there. So that's the Delicate Dahlias set. Right, just put all the bits I'm going to need on the desk. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a card. So I've got some pale papaya colours here. Let me find, all the bits I need. There we go. I've got 2 bits of ribbon because I'm going to make 2 projects. Let me just find the right one. There we are. All right, so I have a pale papaya card base, and I'm going to put onto that a layer of basic white card, which I've put through the time-worn type embossing folder. So this is a new embossing folder. Again, I can't see. Yes, I can now. It's finally caught up on my iPad. You can see that you've got some typewritten words. You've also got some texture on here. You can sort of read the words, but not properly. I think this is going to be one of those really, really versatile embossing folders that works with all kinds of different projects. So I'm going to glue that down first of all. Let me just take out my insert so I don't put glue on that by accident. So that's my card base prepared. I'll set that aside for a moment. I'm going to do some stamping. Oh, just dropped something, bear with me. Right, I've got some more white card here. I've got my pale papaya ink pad, and I'm going to use the Dahlia Stamp, which is the distinctive one, which I now can't find. What have I done with the box? I don't think it would matter how large my crafting desk was. I think I'd still run out of space. Here we go. Here's the Dahlia box. So this is the image I'm going to use to start with. And I need my stamping mat because I'm working with a photopolymer stamp. So let me tuck that underneath. I'll put it under my paper because I'm going to be stamping over the edge of my card, and I don't want to get ink all over the mat because that will then end up on my project somewhere I don't want it. Lorraine has just arrived. Hi Lorraine, don't worry that you weren't here. As you say, you can catch up. So I'm going to just stamp this in various places, kind of randomly on and off the card. It's a really beautiful image. I'll lift this up in a minute so you can see how detailed it is. So I'm leaving some white space, but not a lot. There we are. And I'm going to layer that onto some pale papaya card. And I've cut this so I've got a border on the long sides but not on the short sides. Ooh, I've just done a big splodge of glue. Did you watch me do that? Just here. Let's just get rid of that. I'll come in afterwards when it's dry with my glue eraser. And I've actually just got a little overlap on here. I obviously didn't cut that quite. Gosh, it's only a fraction. It's about a 32nd of an inch. It's not quite even, but I'm just going to trim that tiny little bit off. There we are. That's better. Then I have some of the crinkled seam binding ribbon, which I'm going to tie round here. I'm just deciding which is going to be the top and which is going to be the bottom. Yeah, I think it's going to be that way round. So I'm tying my ribbon towards the bottom, just in a bow. Tying a bow live on camera always feels like a bit of a challenge. I always feel very ham-fisted when I do this. There we are. So I'll just trim those ends. Bring in my scissors that I keep only for ribbon. If you watched my session on ribbon and bows and knots, you'll know that I advised you to do the same. Those of you who do embroidery or sewing or quilting will, I am sure, have a pair of scissors that nobody is allowed to touch for paper crafting. There we are. And I'm going to set that aside for a moment and create a little piece for my sentiment. So the first thing I'm going to do is stamp the dahlia on that, and I just want a hint of dahlia, so I'm going to stamp it off once and then stamp it on here, and I'm going to have the centre of the dahlia off centre, if you know what I mean. There we are. So that's just taken the white edge off that and really added a little bit of pattern and texture. And then I'm going to bring in my sentiment stamp. So this is the Thank You Kindly stamp. Now I don't want the kindly on this occasion, so I'm going to mask it off. So I've got a piece of washi tape here. We don't have washi tape in the catalogue anymore, which is a great shame. You can easily find it online if you haven't got any left, or you can use masking tape. That will work as well. And what I'm going to do is put the washi tape onto my stamp and then just make sure that the whole of the thank you is showing. So the Y comes down a little bit. Let me try and show you what I mean. Here, the Y comes down there quite closely to the D. So I'm just pushing my nail in between the Y tail and the top of the D, just to make sure that the whole of the Y is going to stamp, but I'm not going to get any of the D, which I think I've done. There we are. So now I'm going to ink up my stamp with basic grey ink. I like this as a contrast. Often if I'm using paler colours, where I might use black for darker colours, if I'm using paler colours I often use basic grey instead. It's not quite as hard as black is. And I'm going to ink my stamp, and then the crucial point about this masking technique is to remember to take off the washi tape. Can you see that ink that's on the tape there? If I stamp with this, that's what I'm going to get on my project, which I really don't want. So let me re-ink my stamp, take off the washi tape and get rid of that straight into my bin because that's very inky. And now I just have thank you. So now I can stamp that across my circle. There we go. And so that makes this stamp doubly useful because I don't have to have all the words on it if I don't want. And you can use this method on many sentiment stamps. A few of them, because of the font or the layout of the words, you can't get the tape in between the words, but on many of them you can, and it's something I quite often do because it just gives them an extra versatility. So I'm now going to layer this onto another circle, this time of pale papaya card. There we are. And I want some dimensionals for the back of that. I shall use full-size ones this time. I always use plenty of dimensionals because I don't want this going through the post and getting squashed, and when it comes out of the envelope the other end, where the dimensionals were supporting the card, it's raised, but where there weren't any, it's dented. So I always put plenty on. Alright, so this is ready to go, and I'm actually going to put this down before I stick this panel onto my card base because I want to fiddle with the ribbon and work out where I want it. And actually that looks about right, but while this isn't attached to my card, I can still move my ribbon, slide it one way or the other to get things exactly where I want them. There we are. And now I can glue this onto my card base. Now I have some of these beautiful in colour jewels, and I'm just going to pop a couple of them on here for a little bit of sparkle. So I've picked the pale papaya ones again, and then I'm just going to stamp a dahlia on the insert of my card. And then I can pop that inside. Getting to the end of this bottle of glue. There we go. So that's my card using the delicate Dahlias stamps, which are the free stamps. Hurrah, love a free set. And I thought, what can I do that's a little bit different? Instead of an envelope, I'm actually going to make a little bag for it to go in, or should I say decorate a little bag. So I have here one of the in colour ombre bags. Now you may not have found these. These are in the annual catalogue. Just let me find the page for you and I'll show you, because I missed these first time around. In fact, I missed them third, fourth or fifth time of looking at the catalogue. So this is the annual catalogue, page 137, and they're here, and they don't really look very much, but they're ever so pretty and they're ever so reasonably priced. You get 20 bags, 4 of each of the 5 new colours. So those colours are Evening Evergreen, Fresh Freesia, Pale Papaya, Polished Pink and Soft Succulent. So you get 4 bags in each colour for £5.50, which I think is a steal. They're lovely for gift packaging, but they also make a really pretty alternative envelope if you're going to be handing a card. So anyway, I've got one of these, so you can see that they're ombre. They are the full shade of pale papaya at the bottom, and that shades up into white at the top, and it works the same for all the different colours. So I'm going to stamp all over this first of all, and so I'm going to use the other large Dahlia stamp. This is the outline image, and I'm going to do a kind of an ombre stamping technique, which I described to you at the beginning when I was looking at the Textures and Frames Sale-a-Bration set, which is where you can get lighter and lighter as you go up to create ombre. So I'll show you. So I've inked the stamp and I'm going to stamp it on there, and then I'm just going to ink it again and stamp it again, and a third time. So this is full strength ink. And then my next set of stamps, I'm going to actually stamp off once. My next set of images, I should say. So stamp off and then stamp. So that's much paler. And as the colour of the bag gets paler, so my ink is getting paler. So I'll stamp off once and then I'll stamp on my project. And then finally at the top, I'm going to stamp off twice, so there'll be only the faintest hint of colour, because this is not a very dark colour to start with. So just a tiny, tiny little bit. And in fact, I'm going to put a piece of scrap paper inside here, just to keep that inside edge there free of ink. It wouldn't be very much, but just stamp off twice, just so I don't get any ink on the inside of the paper bag. There we are. So that's stamped on the bag. I'll turn it sideways because I think you'll be able to see, see more of it that way. I'm hoping the ombre effect will show. I'll wait for my iPad to catch up. Let me lift it up a little bit. Not sure if it's showing, but certainly I can see a fainter dahlia here and then a very faint one here. So I have like an ombre stamped effect. So there's my bag stamped. Then I'm just going to make a little label for it. So I've got a larger circle here. And I'm going to go back to the first dahlia. So this is the one which is like a photograph of a dahlia, rather than the outline, and stamp that in the middle. And then I'm going to stamp a label that just says thank you. So in the same way as I masked my stamp once, I'm going to mask it again. I have cleaned it in between times. I'm using the same basic grey ink, but just means that hopefully it's easy for you to see what I'm doing. Just make sure I cover all of that word there. So I ink my stamp, I remove the washi tape, very important, put it straight in the bin because it's inky, and then stamp. And I am going to use my trimmer just to cut that off, just to get it really straight. And then I'll just make this slightly shorter. There we are. So now I need those small dimensionals again. Pop those on the back and then I can assemble everything. Okay, and I'm just going to close up my ink pads before I lie my arm across them, which I'm sure you've all seen me do by now. Alright, and I can also remove my foam mat because I finished stamping. So I'm going to need a closure on this bag. I'm going to fold the flap over. I could score it, but actually it seems to fold really nicely without worrying about scoring. And then I'm going to punch a couple of holes in here. So with a pencil, I'm going to mark where I want my holes. So I'm using the cross in the center of my grid paper, which I use all the time for centering things. So I'm going to go 2 squares to the right and then 2 squares to the left of that center line, and just mark a dot in the center of that piece I've folded over. And then I'll use my hole punch to make a hole in there. So I'm using my Crocodile, which is a hole punch in 2 sizes, but it also sets eyelets, which is why it looks so complicated. And actually I've got a little bit of confetti left in here from before. Let me hook that out or I won't be able to see what I'm doing. That's better. So I can see my pencil mark through the hole in my Crocodile. You probably can't. Get that little bit of paper out. And do the second hole. No, I've still got a bit of paper stuck in there. Where's my pokey tool? My little box of tricks here. I know I've got, there we go. Got a needle tool in here which should hook that out. I think there must be some glue on it. It's very determined not to come out. There we are, that's better. Right, okay, all I wanted to do was punch a hole. Okay, there we are. So I've now punched 2 holes in my bag. I can thread some ribbon through, so I've got the same seam binding ribbon that I have used on the card. And it's very soft ribbon, so you don't need a large hole for it. And then I'm just going to tie a bow. Now obviously I'll undo this to fit the card inside, but just to show you how it will look sealed up, I will tie the bow now. There we are. And my ribbon scissors will trim off the ends. And then finally I'm going to pop my decoration on the front, so that can go anywhere really, but I think I'm going to pop it centrally. Oh, I think it might be time for a new bottle of glue. Yeah, there's pretty much nothing left in there. Let's try this one. That's better. I've also put an inky smudge on there, so fortunately this will hide it. There we are. So I've got my sentiment piece here. Take the back off those little tiny dimensionals. And just pop that to the side. And then I'll bring in some more of these pretty little jewels. These are just so lovely. And I'm just going to scatter some, I think. Ooh, that one doesn't want to come. There we are. we are. So that then is a couple of projects using the delicate dahlias, a little card and something a little bit different from a standard envelope to go inside. And then just to show you something that's the same but different, I've done one in polished pink as well. So do have a look at these ombre paper bags. They really are very, very pretty. They make lovely gift packaging. You could fill them with all sorts of goodies and make a pretty tag for them, but they also make lovely alternative envelopes. Right, so let me bring back the other card I made. I'm going to push those up a little bit, pop that one there, and I'll just bring in the deer as well before I turn the camera back up to say goodbye for today. But this is what we've done today. With, you know, lots of the things I've used have all been the free items for Sale-a-Bration. So do have a look at the brochure, decide what you would like. What's not to like about crafting products that haven't cost you anything. Right, bear with me. I'm just going to cover up the lens again and turn my camera around and change my microphone. Let's see if I can do better than yesterday, because I ended up upside down because I'd completely forgotten to change one of the settings. Okay, nearly there. Right, I'm hopefully straight. I'm about to knock my trimmer crashing to the floor. Just stood it up a little bit better. There we are. So thank you again for joining me so much this afternoon. It's been fun to talk about Sale-a-Bration with you. If you've got any questions, do let me know. If the thought of maybe maximising your value by joining Stampin' Up is tempting, then get in touch. I'm happy to answer any questions you've got. I never ever push anybody to join, but it is such a good deal that I need to tell you about it, because it would be awful if you didn't know and you'd missed out. A couple of reminders. The closing date for booking the September card class, and also my welcome back to face-to-face classes in September. Both of those dates, the last date to book is Friday. If you'd like more information on those classes, let me know. But book now. I know it seems a long way ahead. My book buy dates are about a month before the class actually runs, because that then gives me time to order the materials for the class, for them to arrive, and for me to actually prepare them ready to run the class. So there is a bit of a lead in time, but don't miss out, because I think with it being August, nobody's thinking about September classes, but it will be really lovely to get back to face-to-face classes in September. I'm going to be back here tomorrow at 2 o'clock, and it's going to be dealing with the C word. Yes, Christmas things. Typically I don't do much for Christmas at this time of the year, but it would be wrong of me not to show you some of the beautiful Christmas things, even if you just want to put them on your wish list at this stage. Although I have to say I've had quite a lot of orders for people getting their Christmas products in now, so maybe you'll be tempted after all. But I'll be back at 2 o'clock tomorrow dealing with Christmas, and then I'll be back on Friday here at 2 o'clock looking at late summer and autumn projects. So I hope very much you'll be able to join me again, and if you can't join me live, you can always watch the replay here or on my YouTube channel. But thank you so much indeed for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.